Hello friends, welcome to my channel Clinical Biochemistry by Dr. P.K. Prabhakar. Today I am going to talk about the tests for the coronavirus. So we are going to talk about few specific terms which commonly we are going to use when we are seeing the different coronavirus tests. So the most important test, or you can call it one of the reliable tests which we are doing till now, is RT-PCR test. And then few terms we are using in the relation of RT-PCR, that is CT value, and one another term, that is CT score, we are talking about when we are talking about the means scanning of the lung. So over the course of the current COVID crisis, the importance of the reliable and accessible testing to screen the disease has become the increasingly very apparent. If you see the example of South Korea, where the test of the for this COVID-19 disease were made promptly and readily available when the first outbreak happens for this disease, and if you will be surprised that drastically very lowest death rate has been in that country. It has been recorded. Roughly 174 COVID-19 fatality has been recorded in South Korea out of 10,000 recorded cases, compared to roughly 3,000 deaths in the United Kingdom out of 34,000 recorded cases. Means that is the ratio I am telling you. So there are many different tests we are having. So if you see the coronavirus, so first we will see what is the significance of this test, how this test is going to be done. So better we will understand the test. So before that one, we should understand what is the virus and what exactly we are going to do the test. So this is a cartoonic diagram of the coronavirus. In that one, if you will see, there is a spring-like structure, that is its genetic material, which is the positive sense single-stranded RNA. So this RNA is responsible for almost all the protein which virus is having. At the same time, if you see the outer circular ring, that is the called as capsid, and in that capsid we are going to see different designs. That designs are the different proteins. Out of these proteins, the most important protein is this pin-like structure, which you can see here. This is called as a spike protein. This virus, when it enters into the host cells, so it is going to bind with the host cell with that spike protein only. So this is the spike protein which normally binds to one of the specific receptor which is present in our cells, that is called as ACE2 receptor. It is called as angiotensin converting enzyme 2 receptor. This is normally present in our on our lung cells. Not only lung cells, on our test bud also. So recently there are few specific sign and symptom has been given for this coronavirus. That is called COVID tongue, where on your tongue there will be some wound-like structure will be there, because this ACE2 inhibitor is receptor is present in on our lungs, tongue also. So virus binds on our tongue also, and it infects also there also. Rather, so this spike protein is going to bind with this ACE2 receptor, and then it enters into the host cells. So what we are going to see, if we want to detect this virus, so we have to pick certain components. So there are many different tests can be suggested, or it can be done to identify, to detect this virus in our body. Like some of the tests which is based on the PCR, that is RT-PCR or QRT-PCR. Then we are having ELISA and GICA, that is antibody serotype and subtyping structure assay. Then microarray based methods we are having. We can have cell culture also, CRISPR-Cas based methodology, and immunosensor techniques. But most commonly what we are going to use it, that is the three important tests we are going to perform, which is commonly used. One is molecular test. In this molecular test, normally we are going to do the test for the genetic material. This single-stranded RNA which is present in the virus inside the virus capsid, that genetic material we are going to detect. So that is called as molecular test. It is also called as RT-PCR test, and some other names are also there. Later on we are going to see it. In this case, we are going to collect the nasal sample, swab from the either nostril or the throat swab will be collected, and if virus will be there, that will come in the swab, and that will be detected for the presence of the genetic material, this RNA presence. Second important test is that is called as antigen test. Antigen we are going to call it whenever a foreign particles comes to in our body, and if that foreign particles will have a specific type of proteins or any kind of structures which activates your immune system, that is called as antigens. So this is the newest of the three, third techniques also we are having, that is antibody test. So out of these three, antigen testing is the newest technology. This antigen normally tests for the presence of the antigen. Like this virus comes with the different proteins. You have already seen that it is having a spike protein, it is having E protein, HE protein, number of proteins are there. So if you are going to detect the presence of any of these protein in your body, it means virus is there. So that is called as antigen presence. Antigen is a foreign particles which is present on the foreign pathogen component, pathogens. And third one is called as antibody testing. Whenever a foreign particle foreign bacteria, foreign pathogens come to your body, your immune system going to produce antibodies, immunoglobulins against that particular foreign particles, foreign proteins. So if coronavirus comes to our body will make some kind of antibody against those proteins of the coronavirus. So if this antibody is present in our body, it will give you information that sometime you have got an infection with the coronavirus. So these are the three different tests. For the molecular test and for the antigen presences, because we are going to detect the viral genomes or viral proteins. So here we are going to collect the viral samples. So that viral sample will be collected either from the nostril or from the throat swab. And for antibody test we have to collect blood, because antibody will be normally present in our blood sample only. So out of these three tests, the first two tests are called as diagnostic tests, because by that test you are going to detect, identify the bacteria, virus is present in the host body or it is not present. Whereas second test, that antibody test, is called as a screening test. Means by this one you can detect a person who might have got any kind of infection. So this test will not tell you that virus is still present in the body of the host or it is not present. It will only give you that host has produced a kind of antibody against that virus. So that's why it is called as a screening test. So one by one we are going to see that test. So the first is molecular test, which is also called as RNA amplification test, and this is also called as real-time reverse transcriptase PCR test. Real-time reverse transcriptase PCR test, that is a gold standard. Means I have told you out of these three tests, the most reliable test is RT-PCR, that is reverse transcriptase PCR test. In this one, the sample which you required, we will talk in the details also later on. So when you are going to collect a sample, the sample will be either your nose, from the nostril, or the from your throat. Swabs will be collected. What you are going to detect in this test is, we are going to detect the presence of the viral genetic material. So if virus RNA is present in your body or not present, that will be detected here. What information you are going to get from this test? So it will tell you that virus is present in your body or not. If the virus is present in your body, means you are infected or you are not infected. So it will be going to give you that many information. Why it is helpful? Because it is used to isolate those infected, so treatment can be provided and other potential cases of infection can be traced. So just we are going to identify who is infected, so that he can be segregated, he can be isolated, and treatment can be initiated. And how this test will be helpful? So anyone a negative result does not guarantee that immunity in the future. Means if you are coming RT-PCR negative, it does not mean you will not get any kind of infection in the future. Second test we are having, that is called as antigen test. Here also we are going to collect a swab sample from the nostril or from the throat, and here we are going to detect the presence of antigenic components. So most commonly we are going to use a spike protein presence. So chemical fragment or the protein from the virus is going to be detected by using some kind of monoclonal antibody. What this test will tell you? Again, this test will tell you that virus particles, virus protein is present in your body or not. So it will tell you that you are infected or you are not infected. How it is going to be helpful? It provides the same information as the molecular RT-PCR gives you, roughly in the very small time duration, because RT-PCR takes a few hours, whereas this antigen test is a simple test. It will take you minimum 10 to 15 minutes and it will give you the result. How it is going to be helpful? Again, it is going to means it will be a negative result does not makes you guarantee that you are having immunity or you are not going to be infected. When you are going to compare this antigen test and the RT-PCR test, RT-PCR test is a more reliable test, because if virus is present in your body and virus will be degraded, virus has been killed, then also their proteins will be present in your body. But if virus will be killed, their RNA will be lost. So if your RNA is going to be present in your body, it means virus is present in your body. Third test we are having, that is called as antibody test. Here we are going to detect the presence of the antibody immunoglobulin against the virus particles. So here blood sample, what we are going to collect is the blood sample. So we are going to see the presence of any kind of immunoglobulins antibody against the any proteins of the coronavirus. So here we will detect the presence of immunoglobulin. So we will provide antigens, and if antibody will be there in the serum, it will bind and it will give you a detection. It will be detected. What this antibody, which type of information you are going to get from this one? It will tell you that you had infection or you didn't have infection. Means not currently, but in previously. So in the past you were infected or you are not infected. That information you are going to get it here. And it will help you to identify people who may have immunity or whose antibody could be used to treat COVID-19 patient through the plasma therapy or plasma donation therapy. And why it is helpful? It is unclear if antibody provides protection, how long antibody will be last, and what level it will be there. So that those information is not going to be we are going to get by this antibody test. So now because more focus will be on the RT-PCR test, so we are going to see in the detail how this RT-PCR test works, how we are going to detect it. So this molecular test or RNA amplification test is also known as RT-PCR test, or it is called as reverse transcriptase PCR test. Reverse transcriptase is enzymes which normally present in some kind of RNA viruses. So what it do? Normally if you'll see a normal central dogma we are having. So wherever we are having DNA, this DNA is going to be converted into RNA, and RNA is going to give you proteins. This is called a normal central dogma. So this is transcription, this is translation. But reverse transcriptase, what it do? It will do the reverse transcription process. So it can give messenger RNA to DNA and then it can go. So that we are going to do here. Why we require reverse transcriptase? Because you know that coronavirus is having RNA as a genetic material. So directly RNA cannot be used for polymerase chain reaction. So first RNA need to be converted into DNA. So this is a coronavirus. You are knowing that this RNA coronavirus spike protein binds to the ACE2 receptor on our lung cells with the spike protein. So this is the how it is going to bind. And for this spike protein, there is a genes, there is a RNA, means a nucleic acid genetic material, which is on this inside the virus. So what we are going to do? We are going to separate. We are going to purify extract the RNA from this virus. So RNA has been extracted. Now this RNA will be used for the conversion of DNA. So first we are going to have a RNA. This RNA is going to be converted to double-stranded DNA by the reverse transcription process. Just now I have told you. So RNA we are having, first we are going to convert into double-stranded DNA, and then this DNA will be used in the PCR process, so that amplification will be done and then it will be detected. So a small amount of DNA will not be detected. For the detection we require sufficient amount of DNA. So when you require sufficient amount of DNA, you need to it's cloning. So we are doing this cloning into in vitro condition, that is through the PCR reactions. For PCR we require double-stranded DNA. So first this messenger RNA need to be converted to double-stranded DNA, then PCR will be done. What are the things you require? We require swab sample where viral particles, virus RNA will be there. Then we require some of the buffer which will lie the virus particles, so that component of virus RNA will come outside. And then we require RT-PCR machine, and we require different reagents for this PCR. We require reverse transcriptase, we require Taq polymerase, we require nucleotides, we require primers. So all those things, magnesium ions. So all these are required for this PCR reaction. Now, so first thing is we are going to collect the swab sample. So swab will be collected either from the nose, nostril, or from the throat region. So virus has come into the swab. Then RNA will be extracted. So second step will be the extraction of RNA from this virus particles by using some kind of reagent. Then this RNA will be converted to double-stranded DNA, that is through reverse transcriptase enzyme. So that process is called as reverse transcription. So in the first three steps, sample collections, then RNA extractions, then reverse transcription. So ultimately we have got a double-stranded DNA. Now this double-stranded DNA is going to be used for PCR. So on this DNA, on every strand there will be, we are going to use probes. So first probes are complementary to this strands of the DNA. So probes are going to be bound, which can give you fluorescence. And we are going to do, probes will be going to bind on the DNA, and then we are going to do the PCR reactions, PCR, so that DNA chain primer will bind and chain will be elongated. This chain elongation is done through DNA polymerase. As soon as this chain is going to be elongated, so slowly this DNA polymerase is going to degrade this probe, and when this probe will be degraded, as you can see here, it is going to give you a fluorescence, and that fluorescence will be detected. Means as many as double-stranded DNA is going to form, that much probes will be degraded, and that, in correspondingly you will get the fluorescence. So the quantity or the fluorescence is directly proportional to the DNA formations or DNA copying. This is the basic step of the PCR. In the PCR we are going to have a double-stranded DNA. Three steps are there. So ultimately after these three steps, first with these two DNA strands will be separated out, like this one and this one. Then primer will bind on each of the strands, that is called annealing step. And third will be extension, where this primer will be elongated. So ultimately we have started from one strands, one DNA duplex, and we have got two DNA duplex. Means this is called as one cycle. So after one cycle, one DNA gave you two DNA. If you are going to start for this 2 DNA, next cycle will give you 4 DNA. Third cycle will give you 8 DNA. Fourth cycle will give you 16 DNA. So it will be double every time. So ultimately you can see this is after the first cycle we have got from 1 2 DNA. After the second cycle we have got 4 different DNA. So normally we are going to calculate on the basis of 2 to the power n, where n is the number of cycle. So if cycle is 1, 2 to the power 1, if cycle is 2, 2 to the power 2, if cycle is 3, 2 to the power 3, if cycle is 4, 2 to the power 4. So by that one you can quantify how many pieces of DNA has been formed. So ultimately after the, if you will running up to the 30 cycle of PCR, so you are going to get roughly 2 to the power 30 number of DNA. That will be sufficient. So this is how PCR works. So after the certain cycle of the PCR, we are going to get sufficient amount of DNA. Now this DNA will be detected in terms of fluorescence. So that detection level we are going to denotes in the terms of CT value. So that is called a cycle threshold value. Like for example, we are having two patients, and that is patient A and patient B. We have collected sample from patient A also and patient B also. For example, from the patient A we have got very less amount of virus, less number of viruses there, so we have got only a small amount of nucleic acid or DNA sample. Similarly, at the same time patient B has sufficient amount of virus, so that we have got sufficient amount of nucleic acid for the PCR reaction. Both sample we are going to run the PCR. When you are going to run the PCR, then we need to be after the PCR, the DNA need to be detected by the instrument in terms of fluorescence. So for example, you require this much amount of DNA for the fluorescence. Now if you are having patient A which is having very small amount number of DNA, only 2 DNA sample is there, so you need to run PCR's very high amount number of cycles. This DNA need to run more PCR cycles so that you will reach up to the sufficient amount, because a small DNA is there, so every time you are going to duplicate the DNA, So you need to run more PCR cycle to get up to this level. When you are having high number of DNA samples, you need to run only less PCR cycles so that it will reach up to the detectable amount. So if less DNA, less virus is present in a host, then you need to run more PCR cycle. When more amount of virus will be there, then you need to run less number of PCR cycles so reach up to the detectable amount. So this is called as CT value, cycle threshold value. The cycle threshold value is defined as the number of cycles required so that fluorescence signal can be crossing the threshold value, or it will be detectable. So the number of PCR cycles run for any sample to reach up to a detectable amount is called as cycle threshold value. So in this case, in case of patient A, where we are running more PCR cycles, so their CT value will be very, very high, whereas in this case we are going to run less number of PCR cycle because more DNA sample will be there, so CT value will be very less. Means CT value is inversely proportional to the amount of DNA, because here we are or you can call it virus load, because here viral load is very less, so more CT value. Here virus load is high, so CT value is less, so it is inversely proportional. Here you can see at the point where this after the PCR, this is the PCR cycle, so every time DNA sample is going to be duplicated. So at a specific point, this DNA sample is going to be detected and it is going to cross the threshold value, that is called as CT value. Whereas in this case, it is not going to cross the CT threshold value at any point, so it is negative. So if this DNA is detectable at any point, it is called as positive. For time being, this is the copy number, cycle number. This is sample 1. If it is going to cross here, means at 15th cycle. For another sample, it is going to cross at 30th stage. So the CT value for this one is 15. CT value is 15 here. CT value is 30 here. Means in the case of this DNA, it is detectable at the 30th cycle. After the 30th cycle, means you have to run more cycles, so less virus is there. In this case, you run only 15 cycle and DNA will be detectable, so you have got sufficient amount of DNA. So this is CT value is less. So how we are going to denote it? CT value is inversely proportional to the DNA sample or viral load. Means when you are having lower the viral loads, higher will be the CT value, as we have seen in case of patient A, where viral load was less, so the CT value was very high, means you have to run more PCR cycle. In case of patient B, where high the viral load, lower will be the CT value, means you have to run only a small number of cycle to reach to the cycle threshold value, or reach to the detectable amount. Now PCR means ICMR has given you some kind of threshold value, they have fixed it. So among various scientific terms, when we are going to use, CT value is having their own significance. Means a lot of discussion is going on this CT value. This was a subject of recent requests. Means previously it was at 24. CT value was fixed at 24, but later on it has been changed to 35. ICMR means DG has increased up to 35. So according to ICMR, if any patient's DNA sample with the CT value will be 35 or less, means if CT value is 35, 34, 30, 33, 18, 20, anything less than 36 is treated as positive. Whereas any patient whose CT value will be more than 35, they will be treated as negative. So the 35 is the threshold value has been set by ICMR currently. Previously it was 24. Another score we are going to use, that is called as CT score. CT score is called as that is for the computerized tomography scores, that is a scanning scores. This gives you a CT severity scores index. What it will give you? Whenever we are going to do the scanning of the lung, so that will give you some kind of a score. Now this scoring parameter, how this scoring process is, how it is going to be scored. Lung is going to be divided into 5 different sections. means in the right lobes and we are having left lobes. Right lobe is divided into three different sections, three different lobes, that is upper, right middle and right lower. Whereas left lobe is divided into only two sections, that is right upper and left lower, means total 5 lobes. And for every lobes we are having a scoring, that is it can be up to 1 to 5 during the scanning. When we are going to give 1 score and when we are going to give 5 scores, so this is this one. If there will be no damage, no patches, no glassy appearance will be there, or up less than 5% glassy appearance is there, less than 5% involvement is there, we are going to give 1 score. Similarly, 5 to 25%, 2 score. If 26 to 35, 50%, it will be 3 score. 51 to 75%, score 4, and more than 75, score 5. So for time being, for example, these 5 lobes has got some kind of score. Like here we have got 1 score, here we have got 0 score, here we have got 2 score, here we have got 0 score, here we have got 1 score. So for this patient, the total score is 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 out of 25. So this out of 25, because for every lobes we have fixed 5 scores. Out of 5 they have got 1, they have got 2, they have got 1, and 2 places 0. In the last we are going to multiply this score by 4. So 4 multiplied by 4 equal to 16. So it will be the CT severity score is 16. So that gives you kind of information how severe lung is infected. So this is also we are doing. So 3 different terms we have seen today, that is RT-PCR, what is the significance of RT-PCR and how this RT-PCR helps you in the detection. Second one is CT value, CT value in terms of you can call it RT-PCR, and then third one is CT score. So CT score for the severity of the lung involvement. So this is all about for today. If you have not subscribed my channel, please subscribe it. Press the bell button so that you will get all the notification for all the video as soon as I will upload it. If you like the video, press the like button. Thank you very much. Have a nice day. If you have any query, any comments, you can write in the comment box.